Bitcoin is the biggest lever that a lot of people have. And what do I mean by that? I mean, like, I've been thinking a lot about this concept of just, side hustles, and like making more money and just like how to kind of hyper optimize your time is like a big topic on YouTube, at least for me. I mean, maybe those are the videos I watch. And so that's what I keep getting served. But I think about this a lot. And Sharon and I have had these really good conversations together where it's like, how hard do we lean in on like trying to do extra stuff on the weekends versus like relaxing, right? And like kind of that trade-off of pushing on something like making a video like on a Sunday morning versus relaxing or doing stuff with the kids or whatever like that, right? And there's that tension there. And fiat money honestly creates that tension for more and more people because holding the money itself is slippery. And so I think the kind of fascination and obsession with a side hustle or extra sources of income honestly comes from that pressure, comes from that fiat money creating pressure. But okay, then when you have kids, it even more like compounds the whole like time efficiency aspect, right? Quick side note on that, and I will get to the point, is that there's this book called The Defining Decade that made a really big impact on Shrin and I. And it talks about your 20s, but it can apply to anyone at any part in your life. And it's this whole thing of the you think you have to be ready to have kids. You think you have to be like ready and settled or like achieve some metric in order to layer on the next step of responsibility, right? And it's the opposite. It's truly the opposite. It's like layering on the next step of responsibility is what creates the kind of you rising to the occasion. Dan Koh, another YouTuber, said it something differently. He was like, your brain can only process literally 50 bits of information per second, right? Your conscious brain can only process 50 bits of information per second. And what I've experienced with having kids is when you fill your brain with the other stuff, there's other, on a Sunday, the kids are filling the brain. They're filling the brain with the majority of it. And you don't have time. You don't literally have bits left over to process any self-doubt about anything because you're just doing it and you're just executing. And so finding bigger levers and finding bigger things in your life to help you rise to the occasion is something that it's a way that I try to reframe the whole side hustle versus relaxation thing. Okay. And what does this all have to do with Bitcoin? What this has to do with Bitcoin is that Bitcoin is doing that. Bitcoin is the fastest horse in the race from an investment perspective. And that's the reason why it has super upside volatility and super downside volatility. And that's why people are rallying to it so much, because it's the only investment that cuts and has a chance at cutting and piercing through just the random fiat money supply. Every other investment is somehow tied to, again, the small decisions of this committee that chooses how many dollars there are and chooses the price of dollars. The only thing in the world that has a shot at cutting through that and changing the paradigm is Bitcoin. And so that's why learning about it is a big lever that you should consider in your kind of side hustle journey. Another reason why this is just coming to me this morning is because this whole thing of comparing the concept of owning rental properties versus the concept of owning Bitcoin is a really, really interesting question. It's a really interesting, complex question that is not going to have the same answer for everyone. And it just has so many different layers, so many different tax layers, so many different cash flow layers, so many different risk layers. And I think that's the reason why I don't know, just rental properties is a big side hustle that I watch a lot of content on. And so I'm constantly always combining both of those. And that's what I'm realizing is that Bitcoin offers so much upside to people that are strapped for time or strapped for the bits of information in their head, because it's so kind of action-packed in and of itself compared to other investments. Because it's okay, sweet. Could you save an outsized portion of your income and put it into the stock market? Totally. Absolutely. But the stock market is still so much at the whim, again, of just the supply of dollars and and politics, honestly. And is Bitcoin still tied to that? Yes. Right now it is. Totally. Right now it is, and it trades just like a supercharged like stock. Absolutely. Does it have potential to eventually detach from that and change the paradigm of the world? Absolutely. Which is the same thing that a lot of people are trying to do with their side hustle, is like create that financial freedom and create that detachment, for themselves. And so Bitcoin is a big lever, deserves your attention, deserves to be in your side hustle bucket.